Hello, you fabulous fourth graders. I am going to be reading a chapter from your book, The Secret Zoo, today. I hear you are having a lot of guest readers. I hope that's really fun for you. First of all, I looked up this book because I guess we're on chapter 25. This book is really interesting. This zoo stuff, crazy stuff's happening. These kids live next to a zoo, which would be really cool anyway, but then all these crazy things start happening. So I'm kind of tempted to go back and start reading this from the beginning. But I'm going to read chapter 25 to you today, Words from a Dictionary. And I don't know if you've actually seen these chapter titles, but I really love how, can you see that without the glare? Look at that cool font. That's really cool. Anywho, I don't want to get distracted. Here we go. After their adventure at the water park, life went back to normal for the Scouts for a week. In school, they tried to focus on their work and steer clear of Wide Walt, who was surely planning some type of retribution for the cafeteria incident. At home, they spent the evenings hanging out in Fort Scout, their conversations about the secret zoo and their next cross-training. They wondered about the Descenders, worried about the Sasquatches, and guessed about the grottos. Thanksgiving came and went. On their walk home from school on Monday, the last day of November, the Scouts were delivered another instant Marlowe when the kingfisher flew out of nowhere and perched on Noah's shoulder. The note asked if the Scouts were available to cross-train on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. The Scouts sent the note back with a yes response, then made plans for a Friday night sleepover at the Nowickies. I hope I said that right. Which was rarely a problem with their parents. Ella often stayed with Megan and Richie with Noah. On Saturday, the Scouts could wake early and head to the zoo together. Now it was almost midnight on a Friday night. Noah and Megan's parents had retired to bed. The Scouts were lounging around in their pajamas in the living room. Sounds like what we've been doing a lot of around here. Ella and Megan sat on the couch, Noah lay on the floor, and Richie sat all the way back in a large, pillowy recliner. In whispers, they were talking about the secret zoo. No one understood the butterflies Noah had seen in the grottos. Where exactly had they come from? Where did they go? And why were there so many tunnels? Did they all go to the secret zoo? If not, then where? They thought about the Descenders. What had moved inside Tamarin's backpack? Why did Sam have zippers on his jacket beneath his arms? Why did Hannah have such strange boots? And why did the 4 teenagers resent the Scouts so much? I love all these questions. At one point, Richie struggled out of the deep cushions on his recliner and said, "Bathroom break, I'll be back." He left the room, then reappeared a few minutes later. As he strolled across the carpet, Ella said, "Honestly, Richie, those pajamas." Richie stopped and looked at his outfit. His shirt and pants were covered with miniature R2-D2s. Okay, that's just cute. "What's the matter? You got something against droids?" Ella smiled. "If we look up dork in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure we'll find your class picture." Okay, here's a secret. You're probably going to find mine too. Richie happened to be near a bookcase when Ella said this. He scanned the books and then pulled out a thick dictionary. "Let's just see about that." He thumbed through a few pages, touched his finger to a place, and said, "Nope, no Richie." Then he flipped forward a bunch of pages. "But if we go here, yes, here's my picture under Genius." The Scouts laughed. "Look up Descender," Noah said. "Huh? Just look it up. Is it even a real word?" Richie turned to a page, read a few lines, then set the weighty dictionary on the floor beside Noah. "Weird," he said. "Check it out." The Scouts huddled around and read from the page. Descender. Noun. 1. In printing, the part of a lowercase letter that extends below the body. For example, in the letter Y, the descender is the tail. If you were in Miss Decker's class, you know that that goes underground. Or that portion of the diagonal line which lies below the V created by the 2 converging lines. "That doesn't make much sense to me," Ella said. "We're talking people, not letters." "Agreed," said Richie. Noah lifted the dictionary up to Richie, who planted it back into the row of books. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, they decided to go upstairs to bed. As the girls slipped into Megan's room, the boys went into Noah's. Richie immediately fell asleep, but Noah didn't. He lay in bed, fitfully tossing and turning. He couldn't stop thinking about what had happened to him in the grottos. An hour passed, and then another. Noah's bedside clock showed the time in glowing digits. 3:10. Noah finally dozed off and then woke, groggy and worried. The clock read 7:57. He angrily threw off the covers and went downstairs. He poured a bowl of cereal. Halfway through it, he became curious about the word descender again. What they'd read in the dictionary hadn't made sense, not when applied to people. A thought filled his head. He stopped crunching on the cereal and sat perfectly still, a bead of milk streaming down his chin. Maybe the scouts had focused on the wrong word. He jumped from the table and went to the bookcase in the living room. He pulled out the dictionary, sat on the couch, and started flipping through the pages. Instead of stopping at the word descender, he stopped on the word descend. I've heard that word before. Then he read from the page, descend, verb. 1, to approach or pounce upon, especially in a greedy or hasty manner. 2, to attack, especially with violence and suddenness. That sounds scary. 3, to sink or come down from a certain intellectual, moral, or social standard, like I wouldn't descend to your level, being rude. Noah tapped the page and stared off into space. He thumbed forward and found the word descender again. Once more, he read the definitions. Those don't mean anything, he said to himself. They don't. He fell silent. A few of the words in the definition seemed to jump off the page. He read out loud the phrases that struck him as important. The part that extends below the body. The descender is the tail created by the two converging lines. He raised his eyes and stared at the wall. The part below the body, the tail. The definition undoubtedly referred to letters, but was it possible that the secret society was using it to refer to something else? Noah scanned the passage again. Like an animal's tail? He asked himself. He focused on the final words, created by the two converging lines, and remembered his first day of cross-training and how Tamarin had mentioned that there were 2 lines of defense protecting the sector gateways, a line of humans and a line of animals. Each line had its own strengths. What if these 2 lines of defense could converge? What if the 2 species that protected the secret zoo could become one? With the intelligence of a human and the strength of an animal. Okay, my imagination right now is going crazy. That would be really cool. Noah scoured his thoughts for something meaningful, something relevant. 4 distinct images came to him. Tamarin's backpack, Hannah's long, bulky boots, the zippers and buckles on Sam's jacket, and the pin-size holes in Solana's leather outfit. His heart began to hammer. He focused his gaze back on the dictionary. As he tried to locate descender on the page, he stumbled across another word, descendant. Could being a descender have something to do with being a descendant? No, Noah told himself. Descender and descendant? 2 different things. But weren't nicknames suggestive rather than literal? But a descendant of what, he asked himself. He thought of the short history of the secret zoo, not more than 100 years. What kind of ancestry could this blip in time include? Forget it, he told himself. He slammed the dictionary closed. You're overtired, making something out of nothing. Just try to relax, he told himself. But there was no way he was going to relax. Not now. Not until he had some answers about who the descenders really were. Not until he understood the grottos and their purpose. Noah checked the clock. 8:10. The scouts planned to leave for cross-training around 8:45, before Noah's parents normally woke. Maybe he could get to the zoo early and have another look at the grottos. This time, he'd be more careful. This time, he'd run down the tunnels, read the engraving on the plates, and then get out. He could leave a note with his friends telling them that he'd gone early to the zoo. Yeah, that's never a good idea. Anybody who's seen any kind of adventure, scary movie knows you don't go off on your own. You're always better off with a group, or at least a buddy. He's just asking for trouble, if you ask me. Without another thought, he went upstairs and quietly got dressed in his bedroom, stepping over Richie in his sleeping bag as he walked between his dressers. Back downstairs, he put on his jacket and red cap and slipped into the garage. He grabbed his bike and silently stepped out the side door. He pedaled down the street, his thoughts on the grottos. At Walker's Boulevard, he turned right. As the Clarksville Zoo appeared in the dim morning light, Noah realized that in his haste, he'd forgotten to leave his friends the note. Of course he did. That's the end of chapter 25. But I'm really interested as you get into chapter 26. I'm wondering if I'm right. If he's going to get himself into some mischief because he had to go off all alone on his own, try to be a hero, I would really like to hear more about that. So I will get with Miss Hall and find out what happens in chapter 26. Happy reading, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of the book, and I hope you're hanging in there with your online stuff. Hang in there, guys. We miss you. Happy reading.